That hurt.
Well, new bike day, it's finally here. Let's see how this thing rides. Here we are at the end of 2023. This is the City of Holdfast Bay Boxing Day crits, hosted as always by South Coast Cycling Club. And as you can see, it is absolutely hot right off the gun. Alex Canane sitting in third wheel there behind the two guys from Team Everything Bikes. Nathan Crick right off the front, and Andrew Tidswell following him real quick, and I am flying. I'm doing 600 watts, and admittedly Alex doesn't leave much of a draft, but it is that hot that early. These are super short laps. I think it's only about 800 meters per lap, and I'm already losing a bit of time to the guys up in front. Nathan set an absolutely blistering pace for the first half of this race. He was absolutely on fire today. Anyway, I am here with my new crit weapon. I bought an LA Sprint frame, and I was able to transfer all my kit from the now defunct Scott Foil. And to tell you what, this thing goes like a rocket ship. It's got some narrower bars on it than the foil did. It is so rigid, and especially compared to that Flexi Focus KO I was racing on in the Christmas crits the other week. This thing just feels like the only thing I'm fighting is the road, not the bike. Anyway, here I am. We're coming through towards the end of the second lap, and Alex has unfortunately let the wheel go for these two. I'm not sure that there was a whole lot he could have done. They were going so hard off the blocks. And so I'm in sort of no man's land. I flick the elbow hoping someone's going to come through, but realise that I've actually managed to get myself a bit of a gap. I don't think I can chase these two. Nathan's on fire at the moment. He'll be going up to A grade any minute now. And so I figure I'm just going to do some work, but hopefully not. Hopefully bring a few people with me to keep the race fast. And the other thing is going into that hot dog corner first is a huge advantage. You really can save a lot of time if you can take your own line through the corner. Now, it has been windy in Adelaide for the last couple of weeks, and today was no exception. I was actually planning after this race to head up Norton Summit because it was a strong southwesterly wind. So coming along this back section was pretty well protected, but then as soon as you come round this corner onto the main straight, you come into a raging headwind. The other feature of this course is that a lot of the corners are well off camber. That corner that we've just gone through is really tricky because it is far off camber, and there's a bunch of road, sort of cat eyes and things like that on the road that make it really tricky to keep your grip. And so it's a race that justifies being fairly careful. And so coming into this, this sort of thing kind of suits me. So coming in, sprinting out of a corner and then having a little bit of time to recover. But the pace was so hot at this point that there wasn't really a whole lot of time to recover between sprints. Alex Canane, who's been doing some hard work on the front, he drops the wheel. And I figure I'll sort of sit in here until it's my turn to pull a turn again. Now the heart rate's up at 180 already. I'm not too worried about this, given how hot the pace has been. I'm not too worried that my legs are giving out. I think it's just been a fast race. And so having done a little bit of work in the first couple of laps, I'm quite content to sit in here and take a lap or two. Not on the front. And look, even into this headwind, the pace is still pretty high. I'm still doing some 300 watts, sitting right in the draft. Now this hot dog corner is one that really rewards good bike handling. I'm certainly not one to claim fantastic bike handling, but I do really enjoy that little corner. I've clipped pedals myself there more than once or twice. But coming out of the hot dog, it really suits me just to sprint out of that corner and then recover a little bit, as I said before. And here we have a little bit of a gap. Toby Simpson's on the front, Peter Burgess is sitting in his wheel, Cale Ryan, number 22 from the Norwood kit, with the red shoes, he's ahead of me, and we've got ourselves a bit of a gap. And so I'm really loving how this is playing out. Once again coming into this off-camber corner, and this time Toby manages to clip a pedal. And I genuinely don't know how he kept this one up. This was, once again, he goes sideways, the bike flicks him up. But fortunately there was enough of a gap behind him that Peter didn't go down. And the guy in the blue and yellow kit hits the front and takes a turn. And I think that's, Alex Canane has sprinted across the gap and he's now shot through ahead of me. Again, I'm not too worried about this. There's two guys up the front still, so I know there's going to be a lot of motivation to chase from these guys. And if at any point people start slacking off on the front, then well, that's when I can come through. Mess up that corner royally, but leave myself a bit of a job to do to close that gap to Alex's wheel. Fortunately, pace comes off a little bit coming into this corner. Now this is also an off-camber corner. It sort of goes across the rise, the middle of a suburban street, and then drops down into the gutter, but if you're a bit careful when you start pedaling through that corner, you can keep a lot of speed, and there's always that gutter to stop you if you do start sliding on the other side. More on that later. So the guy from Keystone, he's launched a flyer off the front. Toby's chasing him, and Peter's trying to stay in his wheel. I'm sitting in Alex's draft, and Alex is 4.5 feet tall, and he's pretty much not worth sitting behind because of how little draft he gives. But you can see the two guys from Team Everything Bikes have still got their little gap, and Keystone in the blue and yellow is chasing well. Jumping forward a lap, and you can see the two guys have probably got a 10-second gap. Now the dangerous thing about this course is that it is such a short loop that it is a realistic prospect that a good group off the front can lap you. And South Australian cycling, if you get lapped, you're out, even if you're in the main bunch. So fortunately, the two guys at the front are still ripping mega turns, and I'm content to sit in. We're a lap later. We've probably taken 2 or 3 seconds out of the gap ahead. Toby's pulled a big turn now. I think Peter Burgess has come through. He's on the front now. He's absolutely ripping it. Toby came off the front and then slotted back in third wheel, so rather than sort of dropping a bit further back, which meant that I didn't have to come through to the front anytime soon. And this time as we come through, I reckon the two guys have actually added a couple of seconds back onto their lead, which is a real testament to just how hard they were going up the front. I kind of mess up this corner. I don't take the smoothest line, so I have to do a bit of work to chase on. But at the same time, Alex takes a bit of a funny corner, and then he drops the wheel. I've still got a little bit in the tank. We're only 8 minutes into this race, and I come to close the gap. And then unfortunately, Toby just he clips his pedal for the second time, and he still keeps it upright. I mean, this is amazing. But this time, unfortunately, in keeping it upright, he jags back in, and I've got a nice clean line off to the left here. Toby's way out of the way, and unfortunately he just pops back in, and I just don't have quite enough on the brakes to get out of that. And then Cale Ryan comes and rides over me at the last second there. And unfortunately, that was the end of my race. Someone was kind enough to grab my bike and get it off the road, and kindly enough was pointing the camera right at me. I didn't realise it at this point, but it gives a lovely framed shot of me collecting my breath, once again wearing my fantastic Christmas socks. So I was pretty lucky in the end. When I came off the bike, I managed to roll straight over the curb, so I hit my back, my hip and my shoulder on the curb, or on the ground or on something. But because I was rolling, I've only got sort of very minor road rash everywhere. My helmet hit the ground, and there's a good solid dent in the back of that, so that's a write-off. Bike was okay, a few minor scratches on the hoods. Both hoods were bent in a very UCI illegal position, but no major damage to the brand new bike. And despite everything that's happened, I think I'll be back to race this one again. And there's actually something of a funny story, because this isn't the first time that I've crashed in this race. That's me lying on my front on the road, and that's a fella called Robert Spavin with his head in the gutter. This is from the 2017 version of this race, a fantastic photo by Tim Loft. This is my last race in C grade as it happened, and the kid who's looking forward, he decided that the best way around that corner was to sprint into the corner and then take a right angle. He took out Robert's wheel, and Robert took me out. I managed to run across the line for third, despite the fact that my bike was pointing in a different direction to the handlebars. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Thank you.